say maybe change everybody. If you notice the person who make the noise, everybody wey don duty salary go wipe am. So when you see person wey dey make noise the next time, nobody go tell you. Na you go rush clear for eye say if you near here again. Many of the times I tell people wey dey watch film, you go hear person dey watch film, increase the volume. So oga here na studio na bring that down.
But we start to put Q lights.
He didn't say anything dey put anything. Say people wey dey work here suppose know say na wetin dey. Today he go talk na. Go talk with him mouth. This is the tell say I'm pained. Pained. I invest all this money and people don't know the value. They think I'm joking here. Because the nothing is goes back home work 6:58 yesterday. When president asked us, say, you are she dey on air.
6:58.
If you see when how we take put our air now, a man leave her to go on air because of the effort we see we or get man me put to make her go on air. When president said that's 6:55, president said, are you a broadcaster? I said, did you hear yourself? 6:55. That's when you walk into the studio. You hear yourself. Are you not supposed to do 6 p.m. news? So I will be paying you for
Wait. We're up. Good morning. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. In the headlines, pressure mounts on sack of the defense minister over rising insecurity. Saraki chairs the PDP Reconciliation Committee ahead of NEC meeting. U.S. President hails substantial progress in trade talks with China, and Pakistanis hold rallies to celebrate ceasefire and praise military bravery. Details shortly.
Sir? Okay. Then look what them find that line where they do that thing. For Makam, no. But wait. Look at here. I feel still Makam.
Today life. For where now? Where be this?
YouTube.
Today life for YouTube. Every morning when you come work.
It's not every morning.
See masking tape small and we remain for there. Use them tie them out so that we will know. See them for the wire body now.
The mic need to come out with.
No, the mic will
I don't use that one.
now see that thing now. If you see that thing there now, if for they look on this and if for sense yeah.
No, the thing
Thing go well, actually. The thing they
go
talk,
well,
it go
but
well.
what we go do, the one we go do now, the one we go put under the prompter.
No, me I prefer that here. Under the prompter, high level to go
You
still
see
work.
am here now. This side now.
Now so you been now.
Now
Now
you
you talk now, like this now.
This one I not like am.
No, I not
because
like
you
am.
go bring your eye down.
For waiting.
You want change the line?
They won't come out this
Don't mark that one.
I don't tie am, no worry, I'll tie am. They won't put this thing now for here. So you know go dey look this one again. As your prompter move, they look your prompter. Then your prompter go dey look straight.
Imaka, go.
So you see say the meeting benefit you.
The Afenifere Youth Vanguard for Peace in Nigeria, AYPN, has joined the call for the removal of the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, over the worsening insecurity in the country. The call by the Youth Vanguard aligns with an earlier call by a member of the House of Representatives from Plateau State, Yusuf Dagdi, who last week issued a scathing criticism of the Minister of the Floor of the House. Gagdi said had raised the alarm over recent terrorist attacks, particularly in Borno State, where insurgents have reportedly overrun military bases and carted away 40 tanks and military platforms. The Afenifere Youth Group described the statements by the lawmaker as a clear and courageous vote of no confidence in Badaru for lack of competence and commitment required to secure the country. The group accused the Minister of ethnic bias, alleging that recruitments, procurements, and strategic decisions within the ministry now heavily favor individuals working for Badaru's alleged 2027 presidential ambition. The group called on President Bola Tinubu to urgently restructure the country's defense architecture, beginning with Badaru's removal to show Nigerians that national interest comes before personal loyalty. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has set up a committee headed by former Senate President Bukola Saraki to reconcile aggrieved members ahead of its National Executive Council meeting. This was disclosed at the end of a meeting held at the Abuja lodge of the chairman of the PDP's Governors Forum and Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, on Sunday night. Some of the governors present at the meeting included Ademola Adeleke Oshin, Caleb Mutfwang Plateau, Amadou Fintiri Adamawa, Sheyi Makinde Oyo, and Peter Mba Enugu, and also the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Briefing journalist, the Bauchi governor said the meeting was convened ahead of the party's scheduled NEC, which has been slated for the end of May. According to him, the invitation of the former governors was done to tap from their experiences so they could resolve some of the internal challenges that prepare the ground for a rancor-free NEC meeting and a national convention later in the year. He, however, disclosed that the party was strategizing to ensure that some of the states where the party had governors were reclaimed. The wife of the president, Senator Olusegun Tinubu, has inaugurated a 100-bed mother and child center at Omama General Hospital near Owerri, Imo State. The inauguration was performed on behalf of the First Lady by the wife of the Vice President, Hajiya Nana Shettima. Special Advisor, Publicity and Strategic Communication, Desmond Otomwen, said in a statement on Sunday. She said that the inauguration was a critical milestone in Nigeria's journey towards achieving the health-related sustainable development goals by 2030. The newly inaugurated hospital sited within the Awo Omama General Hospital features a comprehensive suite of healthcare amenities. They include private and general wards, an operating theater, recovery rooms, consultation units, scanning rooms, adult and pediatric intensive care units, a laboratory, ultrasound machines, emergency carts, delivery kits, and vacuum extractors. The First Lady further commended the efforts of Imo State Governor Senator Hope Uzodinma and his wife Chioma Uzodinma for their dedication to the well-being of the people. Uzodinma, in his remarks, hailed the project as a timely and strategic intervention that addressed critical gaps in the state's health sector. He expressed gratitude to President Tinubu for his leadership and for recognizing the health and dignity of mothers and children as national priorities. The Semi-Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service has dismissed the allegations of releasing poisoned rice seized from smugglers, which has reportedly resulted in multiple deaths in the town. The spokesman for the command, Issa Suleiman, denied the allegations in a statement on Sunday in Seme, Lagos. According to him, the attention of the command has been drawn to the widely circulated, unfounded, and baseless allegations, claiming that they seized and distributed bags of rice without the knowledge of the purported owner. The unverified claim suggested that the rice was cursed by its original owner after being seized and distributed without his knowledge. Suleiman said that the allegation also claimed that the owner allegedly invoked traditional powers leading to the deaths of individuals, including a soldier at Badagry. Suleiman, however, said that some unscrupulous elements were misinforming members of the public with accusations to score cheap points instead of the social responsibility they were supposed to uphold. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army troops under the Operation Hadinkai have recorded another success in their intensified campaign against insurgency, with the neutralization of 5 Boko Haram fighters during a clearance operation in the Ladim Butu axis of the Sambisa forest. The operation forms part of the ongoing recalibrated offensive aimed at rooting out terrorist groups from their last strongholds. Ladim Butu, located deep within the Sambisa forest, has long served as a strategic transit and logistic hub for insurgents due to its access to water and concealment advantages. Military sources told Zagazola Makama that the troops encountered the terrorists during a routine clearance operation and engaged them in a fierce gun duel. At the end of the firefights, five insurgents were confirmed killed, while several others fled the scene with varying degrees of gunshot wounds. This latest success reinforces the Nigerian military's renewed momentum and aggressive posture in dismantling terrorist networks operating in the northeast. It also comes in the wake of a strategic directive issued by the Chief of Army Staff who recently visited the theater and ordered the intensified ground raids and expanded aerial reconnaissance missions. The Nigerian military remains committed to sustaining the pressure on terrorist elements until total peace is restored in the affected regions. The Nigerian army has disclosed that it has taken into custody Christopher Emmanuel, who allegedly assaulted a female vendor, Doshima, in Kula, West local government area of Benue. This is contained in a statement by the Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations 401 Special Forces Brigade, Makurdi, Captain Abdullahi Osabo. Osabo said that the headquarters operation well took cognizance of the incidents which occurred on May 6th and reported on May 8th. He said that the incidents might have stemmed from a dispute over an unpaid debts, with allegations suggesting that the soldier claimed the woman insulted him during a phone conversation. According to him, it is further alleged that this confrontation may have escalated into a physical altercation, which is now under investigation. Osabo urged members of the public to report any instances of abuse by Nigerian Army personnel to Human Rights Desk helpline instead of using social media. He gave the assurance that all reports of infractions by Army personnel were viewed seriously investigated and sanctions applied where personnel were found culpable. The Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, has inaugurated a former header conflict prevention committee to take action against numerous clashes in the state. Speaking at the inauguration held at the Bauchi Ministry for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Bala noted that Bauchi and other parts of the country in Nigeria have been facing the challenges of farmers' crisis and headers. That claimed the lives and properties of many innocent victims. He stated that these are the necessitated the formation of a committee aimed at mitigating the problems. Governor Bala, represented by his principal private secretary, Mashimu Yakubu, said that the terms of reference for the committee include the governor revealed that his administration is participating in the livestock productivity and resilience support. As part of project components is the project of pasture, supplementary peat, control of diseases, and provision of water for pastoralists. On his part, the national project coordinator, El Press Project, Sanusi Abubakar, charged the committee to change the narrative of farmer headers clashes in the state and bring positive developments. Up ahead, IBAS pledges to tackle piracy and oil theft in Rivers State. Nigeria's airports below global standards. Federal government to upgrade MMIA, says Kayamo. Do stay with us. The Rivers State government has called for strengthened collaboration between security agencies, committed community stakeholders, and residents to combat sea piracy, illegal oil bunkering, and other forms of criminality in the state. The state's coastal administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ebas, gave the charge during a town hall security stakeholders meeting held in Opobo town. Ibas, represented by the State Commissioner of Police, Olugbenga Adepoju, emphasized the need for collective efforts to safeguard critical government assets and infrastructure. He assured residents and the governments would prioritize healthcare, education, and road rehabilitation and other welfare concerns to enhance living standards in the area. The administrator of Opobo Nkoro local government area, Frederick Apiafi, described the meetings as timely and necessary, urging participants to engage in open and constructive discussions. Apiafi stressed that a safer Opobo Nkoro required proactive surveillance, community cooperation, and stronger support for security agencies. Senator Ahmad Lawan of the Yobe North District has denied ordering the arrest of a constituent, Ishelu Ibrahim Jetta, who criticizes Gashua water supply project. In a statement by the media advisor to the senator, Israel Tabiowo, states that Lawan has never used his position or influence to silence dissent or intimidate his critics. The senator's stance follows a media report that he was responsible for the arrest of Jada over his comments on the water project. According to Tabiowo, the water project in Gashua, a town in Yobe State, facilitated by Senator Lawan, had been commissioned and handed over to the state government by the federal government. However, the media aide did not clarify whether the project is currently operational. Members of Platoon 1 emerged victorious at the 2025 Batch A Stream 1 Cultural Carnival at the ongoing orientation course in NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp, Ogu, local government area of Enugu State. The group, which showcased the rich cultural heritage of Ijaw land, claimed the top spot among 10 platoons in the highly competitive events. Correspondent Emmanuel Tewase was there and now reports. So my issue is, the Senate has said that they want to do a summit, a security summit meeting to really check what's going on with Nigeria's security situation. And that meeting would involve governors, stakeholders, just basically everybody. But the minister said that there is really no need for meetings and that he just basically watered down what the Senate really did. I think it's within the Senate's jurisdiction to call for those kinds of meetings. And even if you want to say no to that kind of meeting, you couldn't have said it in public. You probably maybe do that to the president, say that to the president or mention it to the president because you are an employee of the government. And so if an arm of government is saying we're doing this, it is left for you as the minister to either take it to your boss and discuss it privately. Don't come into the public to water down what an arm of government is trying to do in order for them to fine-tune to find the solution to some of the security issues. But I understand his point that we are always doing meetings in this country. You want to, start a farming gesture, you do meeting. You want to beat somebody down the road, you do meeting. You want to do this one, you do meeting. But in times like this, I think every strategy should be put on the table, whether it is meeting that will stop it or whether it is fine-tuning some of the things that will stop it, or even possibly give people, if it means giving people arms, and giving farmers arms to go to farm. If that's what's going to solve it, then so be it. Because I can only imagine what the farmer is thinking. You bring out your monies, bring out your time, plant your seed, plant your crop, and only for you to lose monies in millions of naira just because people don't want to stay on their lane, just because people are looking for feed to give to their crops. And these are the things that are causing food to increase in our markets, because in the last few years, people have stopped going to the farms. And even if they go to farms that they know they can just feed their family and they're not going to produce anything to sell. I was shocked. I went to Mbuji in Isuzu some time ago, just a few months ago. I thought that food would even be cheaper there. Reaching there, they said that nobody is going to the farm anymore. Food was even more expensive in those villages than even the town that I came from. I was stunned. I actually wanted to do a report. I just said, let me, see if I can pick a thing or two. And it was really terrible. And this thing will continue to be worse if we don't do something urgently about it. And this is a collective action that everybody must actually get involved. Whether the meetings will solve the problems or the meetings is not going to solve the problem is left. That should be discussed at that level. An arm of government to an arm of government, not you being the minister and appointee of the president. I'm sure that you haven't had that discussions with your boss, and then you are now telling the Senate president, you know, those meetings are not necessary. They are unnecessary. Are you kidding me? You know, so everybody's looking for solutions to these security issues. And now they're calling for his head that he should resign his position because even the security he's ministering about, this is almost 2 years since he was in office. He hasn't done anything. There's no new thing that has been done. There's nothing to show that the security situation is even working because there's kidnapping every day. There was a video I did on this channel, I think 2 days ago, that some armed terrorists kidnapped people. The audacity of kidnapping people and keeping them in the forest and showing it to the world that these are people that they have kidnapped was unbelievable. I was stunned. I was going mad. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has revealed that Anambra and Lagos states have the majority among the 80 suspects being interrogated by the police for their involvement in 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination malpractices. The JAM Registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, during a press briefing at JAM headquarters in Abuja, said new methods of exam fraud were observed during the registration and examination processes. And the methods include identity and biometric frauds involving combined thumbprints of candidates and impersonators at registration points in connivance with some CBT centers, double registration and attempted substitution of self by candidates. According to the data, Anambra had the highest number with 14 suspects arrested for 13 cases of impersonation and 1 picture mismatch, with Lagos following with 9 suspects arrested for cases of impersonation, spying, and possession of mobile phones. Other states with notable arrests include Delta with 8 suspects for impersonation, Kano with 7 suspects for impersonation and mobile phones possession, and Kaduna with 6 suspects for impersonation and mobile phone possession. Additionally, 6 suspects were arrested in Beavers for impersonation, possession of a mobile phone, and calculators, while Ebonyi and Enugu had 5 suspects each for impersonation. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, says that Nigeria's airports are below international standards while hinting at the expansion of old Murtala Mohammed International Airport. Keyamo admitted while quoting a commendation tweet by a Nigerian in diaspora, Dipo Awojide, who hailed the improved passenger experience and recent improvements at the MMIA in Lagos. The UK-based Nigerian tweeted that his recent experience at the airport is the easiest it has been for him in 15 years, while acknowledging the visible improvement, and also said that there are some cultural issues to tackle, but acknowledged the significant improvement by the federal government. Keyamo noted that the situation is being managed, but barely, and revealed that the old MMI Air Terminal, built in 1977 for 200,000 passengers annually, now handles 3 million passengers at the airport and 15 million nationwide each year, putting immense strain on the facilities. He assured or reassured Nigerians that major upgrades are forthcoming under President Bola Tinubu's administration, and specified that the total rebuilding of the old MMIA in Lagos will be facilitated to meet modern standards and accommodate approximately 20 million passengers annually. Still to come, 45 Afrikaners South Africans depart for U.S. under Trump's refugee plan. U.S. Besant hails substantial progress in trade talks with China. These and more after the break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. This is Global News on Signature TV. A group of 49 white South Africans departed from OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg, marking the first wave of relocations under the U.S. President Donald Trump's refugee program. South Africa's Transport Department spokesperson said the group will fly into Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia and then onto Texas. The U.S. State Department, which administers the resettlement of South Africans whom the Trump administration granted refugee status, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump kicked off a wide-ranging immigration crackdown after taking office in January, including an indefinite suspension of refugee resettlement. In a related executive order, the Republican president said the U.S. would only admit refugees who can fully and appropriately assimilate. Despite the broad refugee freeze, Trump in February called on the U.S. to prioritize resettling African descents of mostly Dutch early settlers, saying they were victims of unjust racial discrimination. The assertion that minority white South Africans face discrimination from the black majority has spread in far-right circles for years and been echoed by Trump's white South African-born ally, Elon Musk. In interviews with U.S. immigration officers, white South Africans seeking refugee status have highlighted troubles with land disputes, crime, and perceived racism. The South African government has criticized the Trump effort, saying it fails to recognize the country's history of colonialism and apartheid. China Global Television Network has revealed that more than half of global respondents believe the benefits more from trade with China than with the United States. The United States has launched a tariff war against the world. While its trade negotiations with multiple countries have made little progress, the capricious nature of the U.S. government has led to the international community to develop a normalized sense of doubt and distrust towards the U.S. According to the results of a global public opinion survey among 31,004 respondents, 51.8% believe the benefits more from trade with China, while 48.1% of European respondents consider the new U.S. administration untrustworthy. In the survey, 62.9% of global respondents criticized U.S. domestic and foreign policies for seriously undermining the legitimate rights and interests of other countries. In response to what it calls the United States extremist economic bullying, the Chinese government has taken firm countermeasures and, in a responsible manner, agreed to engage in talks with the U.S. In a comparative survey on the international influence of China and the United States, 51.8% of global respondents said they benefit more from trade with China, while only 19.4% said the same about the U.S. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that on Sunday that there had been substantial progress in talks between his team and that of Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng in Geneva on diffusing a trade war between the world's two largest economies. Bessent said that he would give more details on Monday, while U.S. Trade Representatives Jamieson Greer, also at the talks, said the differences between the two sides were not as great as previously thought. Bessent said that he had informed President Donald Trump of the progress of the talks, and there would be a complete briefing on details on Monday. Greer said the Chinese officials were very tough negotiators, some of whom he said he had encountered in the past. The talks had continued into a second day on Sunday as both sides discussed how to de-escalate a trade war that threatens to inflict major damage on the world economy. China's Vice Premier He Lifeng has said on Sunday that trade talks with the United States and Switzerland had been candid, in-depth, and constructive. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representatives Jamieson Greer said earlier on Sunday they needed or they reached a deal with China to cut the U.S. trade deficit, describing substantial progress in high-stakes talks with Chinese officials, but offering no details as 2 days of negotiations concluded in Geneva. Trump followed with a 34% reciprocal duty on Chinese imports in April and subsequent rounds pushed the rates into triple digits, bringing nearly $600 billion in two-way trade to a standstill. The negotiating teams met at the gated villa of Switzerland's UN ambassador overlooking Lake Geneva in a leafy suburb of Colony. Black Mercedes vans with sirens shuttled to and from the venue, which was bathed in bright sunshine. Neutral Switzerland was chosen as the venue following approaches by Swiss politicians on recent visits to China and the United States. Experts say that China-Russia relations have reached a historic high and remain extremely stable and resilient amidst the current complex international landscape, with both nations expanding pragmatic cooperation across multiple sectors. These comments came following Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visits to Russia. During his meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Xi emphasized that the bilateral relationship between China and Russia was rooted in clear historical logic, strong internal momentum, and deep cultural foundations. He noted that the relationship was not aimed at any third party or subject to the influence of any third party. Putin said that Russia and China have always supported each other and have always been partners in times of challenge. He emphasized that the friendship between the two nations is unbreakable and is immune to the influence of temporary events or external interference. Both sides agreed to deepen cooperation in areas such as economy, trade, energy, cross-border e-commerce, agriculture, minerals, nuclear energy, and aerospace, while also accelerating collaboration in emerging fields like sci-tech innovation and artificial intelligence. Foreign Minister Abbas Arachi said the latest talks between Iranian and U.S. negotiators to resolve disputes over Tehran's nuclear program were more serious and more straightforward than previous rounds as they came to a close in Oman on Sunday. Further negotiations are planned, officials said, after Tehran insisted in public on continuing uranium enrichment. Tehran and Washington have said they prefer diplomacy to resolve the decades-long nuclear dispute. They remain deeply divided on several red lines that negotiators will have to circumvent to reach a new nuclear deal and avert future military action. Arachi and Trump's Middle East convoy Steve Witkoff held the fourth round of talks in Muscat through Omani mediators, despite Washington taking a tough stance in public that Iranian officials said would not help the negotiations. Iran's president has claimed his country had no interest in developing nuclear weapons as fresh talks to resolve the decades-long nuclear dispute between the US and Iran ended in Oman. Speaking during a cabinet meeting, Masoud Pezeshkian told ministers in Iran was ready to prove with all its might that it is not seeking nuclear weapons, but was not willing to concede on the developing nuclear technology for healthcare and agriculture, amongst other industries. Earlier on Sunday, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff held the fourth round of nuclear talks in Muscat through Omani mediators, despite Washington taking a tough stance in public that Iranian officials said would not help the negotiations. Further negotiations are planned, officials says. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and German Foreign Minister Johann Wadpol met in Jerusalem on Sunday. The German Foreign Minister had earlier said that the conflict in Gaza cannot be resolved by military means and a political solution must be found to end the war permanently. He said Germany would do whatever it takes to guarantee Israel's security, but this did not mean that his country cannot criticize Israel's actions, although this must not lead to anti-Semitism. During his first trip to the region since taking office last week, Wadful also met with his counterpart Gideon Sa'ar and Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authority, Mohammed Mustafa. Hamas attacks on October 7, 2023 killed 1,200 people and 251 were taken hostage back to Gaza. According to Israel, Israel's campaign has killed more than 52,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians, according to Hamas-run health authorities. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadful met with Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa on Sunday in Ramallah in the West Bank. Johann earlier in Jerusalem said that the conflict in Gaza cannot be solved by military means and a political solution must be found to end the war permanently. Wadful says it was clear that Gaza is part of the Palestinian territory and they need a political solution for the reconstruction of Gaza without Hamas. During his first trip to the region since taking office last week, Whitfall said there should be no expulsion of the 2 million Palestinians there and no permanent occupation of Gaza. Meanwhile, the new German Foreign Minister Johann Wadfall visited Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Center in Jerusalem on Sunday at the start of a visit to Israel and the West Bank. Wadfall laid a wreath in a hall of remembrance and signed the memorial guest book. Wadfall condemned the Hamas attacks in the strongest terms and called for the liberation of all hostages and the disarmament of Hamas. But he added that the conflict in Gaza cannot be solved by military means and a political solution must be found to end the war permanently. He said Germany would do whatever it takes to guarantee Israel's security, but this does not mean that this country cannot criticize Israel's actions, although this must not lead to anti-Semitism. Whitful will hold talks with Israel Foreign Minister Gideon, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and meet the relatives of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza, according to a German Foreign Office spokesperson. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the Ukraine's proposal of a ceasefire starting on Monday remained on the table and that Kyiv was still waiting for a response from Russia. Speaking in his evening address, he said Ukrainian forces will be ready to respond symmetrically if Russian troops violate the ceasefire. Zelensky also said he will be in Turkey on May 15th for talks proposed by Russian President Vladimir Putin in a nighttime televised address. Zelensky's suggestions of a meeting with Putin capped a dramatic 48 hours in which European leaders joined Zelensky in demanding a 30-day ceasefire from Monday, only for Putin to make it a counter-proposal to instead hold the first direct Ukraine-Russia talks since the early months of 2022 invasion.